So right here we have a campaign that spent $8,869.41 and brought back over $100,000 in revenue with an average 12.81 ROAS. So even if we just go to yesterday, we can see this campaign, specifically a CBO campaign, is creating pretty consistent results, spending $163.25 and bringing back over $1,000 in revenue with an average just about 7 ROAS. So in today's video, I'm going to be explaining to you what type of campaign this actually is, what strategy is being used, and I made a whole little chart breaking down how you can exactly do the same thing. So that's what we're going to be going over in today's video. I hope all of you guys are having an amazing and productive day so far, and I'm looking forward to sharing this information with you guys. And yeah. Now, the type of campaign that this actually is a retargeting campaign. So pretty much what we're doing here on this campaign is just retargeting people that didn't follow specific actions on our website and in our pixel. So what we're doing is pretty much just reaching back out to these potential customers that never bought in specific ways to get them to come back to the website and actually make a purchase. Now, the amount of money you can spend on retargeting is really just based on how much traffic you're actually getting. And retargeting is always going to be, one of your most profitable types of ads on Facebook if you're doing it right. But a lot of people don't take advantage of it. They don't do retargeting through emails, SMS, anything like that, and especially not with Facebook. So that's what I want to make sure you guys understand in this video after we're done. So I'm going to be covering everything through this chart that I made and give you guys the exact details on how to do this on your own. And like I said about spending, like this store roughly right now is doing about 5 to 6 grand a day in sales. And just with this targeting that I have on right now for this campaign, it's at a $200 a day budget CBO, and it doesn't even spend that full amount based off of the traffic that's coming in. So obviously there's only a couple of ad sets in here because these are the ones that have worked most consistently. But now let's go ahead into my little chart, and I'm gonna show you guys all the different types of retargeting that I think you should start using your Facebook ads if you're just making, several $100s a day on Facebook or more. So this chart may look a little complicated right off the bat here, but I promise you it's all gonna make sense here just within a couple of minutes. So I wanted to break down all the main variables I think you should set up when actually starting retargeting on Facebook, and the process you should sort of follow, because I know there's not really a specific way to do it, how people say to test a product or to scale a product. Retargeting is really, there's so many different variables that you really just have to test a few things and find out what works best for you based on the traffic that you are getting. So I always start off just doing ad set level budgets. I don't do CBOs right off the bat for retargeting. I'm just testing different types of targeting using custom audiences based off of our pixel, and then testing different creative. So if we just start off here with our first retargeting campaign ever, we're gonna come over here to our first retargeting ad sets that we are gonna make, which I call them general. And when it says right here 100-day audiences, so pretty much how it works is you go to your audiences, and you do create audience and then custom audience. And then when you're in that box, you're gonna be able to choose specific events from your pixel on the left, and there's gonna be a time frame on the left that typically I think maybe says 90 as default. But what I want you to do is make that number 180. And the reason for that is just because that's the highest amount of days you can make a custom audience for, and that's gonna reach people, from 180 days ago on your store. And that audience is gonna automatically update, as you continue running ads using this specific custom audience. So we're just using the biggest retargeting audience that we can right off the bat, so we can spend a little money and see what's working. Because if you limit it, like how we're gonna do here in a second, to like 30-day window, that amount of traffic is gonna be minimized by a lot, and you're not really gonna be able to spend much money at all and see the results that you want to, obviously, unless you're getting a lot of traffic in the last 30 days. So the audiences I showed you in that campaign that's made over 100 grand are 30-day audiences. But back to it, we're starting off with 180-day audiences, and we're starting over here on the right, and we're starting with page view excluding view content. So that's gonna be people that have came onto your website but never really clicked on a specific action. So they're just people that click on your call to action on your ad and then leave the website. So we're gonna be retargeting those people and getting them to come back to the store. And then the next step in the funnel is gonna be people that were actually on a specific product page and were browsing but never added to cart. So we're pretty much just getting between every single step inside the funnel of someone that purchases on your store. So the next step is add to cart, excluding initiate checkout. Now these audiences obviously do get quite smaller, you know, the deeper you go into the funnel. And then we get to initiate checkout, excluding purchases. So that's probably gonna be, you know, one of your smallest audiences. And realistically, if this audience is too small and it's not really spending anything, then you can do add to cart, excluding purchases. That'll make it a bit more general. And sometimes people have tracking issues with their pixel and it doesn't even track all the initiate checkouts. So, you know, by doing initiate checkout, excluding purchase, you're not really doing anything good for yourself. So you're able to go to your pixel and look at the numbers and make sure, you know, things seem about right by looking at, you know, how many add to carts you have in the last 30 days, initiate checkouts and purchases. And then go from there. So the next step is gonna be the actual creative. So typically how I would recommend doing it is having multiple ad creatives under these first main general retargeting ad sets, because that's gonna allow us to see, you know, which ad creatives Facebook actually favors and you know, which one obviously performs the best, because there's different ways you wanna go about it. Because, you know, every single person, for the most part, that we're gonna be retargeting has seen your original ad before. But I'm not saying that your original ad isn't gonna work good as a creative for retargeting. It definitely can. I've seen it work well, but there are a lot of other options that you most definitely can do. So here are the creative options that I want you to test. And when I have right here main ad creative as an option, I want you to understand that you need to make a new ad post using that main ad creative, because if you go ahead and start these retargeting ad sets with all 4 of these different types of ad creatives under them, and you just put your existing page post ID of that main ad creative, Facebook is automatically gonna favor that ad creative and spend, you know, a pretty big amount of your daily budget on these ad sets to that specific creative, instead of spending it somewhat equally and you're able to see actual results like a real test. But I want to talk on budget real quick on these specific ad sets, because obviously, you know, you could set a $100 a day budget and expect to make a lot of sales, but it's not going to spend that money. So what I would recommend for you, you know, if you're making $1,000 a day in sales or less, I would make these ad sets just $5 a day. And then, you know, you'll see if they spend. And sometimes you'll see like these big audiences, the ones that are bigger will be able to spend that money. But down here, and you know, the more specific audiences, it's not gonna be able to spend that money. It'll spend what it can, but it most of the times won't be that full budget. And then everything over $1,000 a day in sales, you know, I would start at like $10 a day, 20 if you're really doing a lot of sales, like, you know, $5 grand a day or more. And then, you know, if you see it consistently spending that full budget and making you consistent sales, cool, raise the budget. You know, retargeting ad sets are like some of the only ad sets that I really ever touch, you know, once they're actually working. Because if I have a different type of ad set that's working like a lookalike or something, I never want to touch that because it's working well. But with retargeting, it's pretty simple. I typically just raise the budget on the ad set directly, and I've never really had any issues with that. So the next step are the rest of these ad creatives. So I have limited quantity, percent discount, and image collection. So pretty much what I mean by each of these, you know, first off is going to be limited quantity. So using a different ad creative, whether it's an image, you know, which you definitely can do, I recommend for retargeting, just because if these people have already been on your website, followed specific actions, and seen your ad, you know, promoting the same exact ad always isn't going to work, because they could recognize it and just scroll right by it. So what you could do is use a different video or an image, different image, depends if you know, you already use an image or video, but just use something different. And in the copy, just mention that we have X amount of units left, you know, get yours today, and then your call to action URL. You don't really need to overcomplicate the copy too much. Obviously what I just said is very, very basic, so you can make it a little bit more detailed, but just using quantity, you know, limited quantity as a selling point, and to get people to actually go to the store and buy it, because you know, they want to get it before it's gone. And the third option here is percentage discount. So what I mean by that is that's when you're actually offering a specific discount. Complete your checkout and save 10% by using code X when you go to our store URL. You know, that's obviously, again, very basic. You can make it a little bit more detailed, but that's pretty much the main gist of what I mean of using a percentage discount. You know, typically you don't want to go above, you know, 15% unless you have like a really, really high margin. Like for this store specifically in the campaign that I showed you, you know, we're using like 20 to 25% off codes just because the margin is so high. it doesn't make that big of a difference and we're still getting consistent profitable sales. And then the next step is just gonna be an image collection. So what I mean by collection, I think I meant to put carousel on here. So that's when you're using an actual carousel ad where you have multiple different options. So, if it's one product, you can use, multiple different images of that single product, or if you have multiple products, put those in there in the carousel. And try using a normal ad copy. If that doesn't work, you can try quantity and then percentage discount. But image carousels just tend to do very, very well. So I most definitely would recommend you testing those out. So our next step is gonna be doing some more detailed retargeting ad sets. So now again, I would only get to this step if these are consistently making sales. And I wouldn't continue try pushing the budget super hard on these, because if you do, it's sort of gonna mess up a majority of this next step with the retargeting. So, if you can keep these at $5, $10 a day, getting a couple sales a day, each ad set is profitable, cool. And obviously just like any other ads, if they spend, close or more than your margin, go ahead and turn them off. You really don't wanna be spending money on something that's working, and you can go back and turn it on later and give it a shot. But if it's just like on the edge and you wanna see if it'll work, you can just turn off the ad creatives that you're running under those ad sets that aren't working for you, and just focus on the one that looks like it is working the best. So when we get here into the detailed retargeting, you're only gonna be using one specific ad creative. That's what I want you to do. It may be the percentage discount, maybe be the carousel, whatever one it is, I want you to use for all the ad sets. So what I want you to do first off is realize that these are gonna be 30-day audiences. So instead of doing 180 days, we're gonna be doing 30 days. Now, generally, you're gonna get a lot more profitable results from 30-day retargeting, just because that's a lot more recent customers than 180 days, which is like 6 months. So by having a 30-day window, the audiences obviously aren't gonna be as big, but it's gonna be more profitable, and that's really what we're aiming for here. So what I have right here is same as general, as meaning I want you to do every single ad set right here the same. Make these same audiences, but make the window 30 days. So it's gonna be the same exact thing, but just more recent. Now there is gonna be a little bit of overlap, but for the most part, that's not really gonna make that big of a difference. That's why I wanted you to keep these on a lower budget for the most part, and then spend more on retargeting when you can on these specifics. So we have the same ones as before with a 30-day audience, using only the creative that's worked best. And then we're gonna get into here and do another one, which is off of engagement. So you would go to create audience, and then Facebook page, and you're gonna just choose page engagement excluding page view. So pretty much what that is, anybody that liked or commented on your ad, or anything in general on your Facebook page and never even went to your website. So just a simple retargeting using your best creative. And these aren't gonna be the most valuable customers, so sometimes offering them a discount isn't something you necessarily need to do, but it will definitely help you recover a lot of them and get you some more sales. Because if they liked or commented on an ad, or left a bad thing on there, you still want to try and recover that as best as you can. So this is a simple way to get the job done. This next one here is video views excluding page view. And as far as the percentage of video views goes, I would just keep it like pretty low, like 50%. So you're still gonna have a pretty decent audience size. If you go to like 95, the audience size is gonna be pretty small, but as you get more video views and your ad continues to grow, and if you have over 1 million views, cool, then I would go 95%, and you're gonna see some good results. But this is video views, and obviously if you're using an image, you can't use video views. So what you can do though is time spent, amount on the website. So just 25 or 50% variable, and excluding page views. So people that watch your video, 50% of it never clicked on the call to action. Boom, hit them with the retarget. And then the next step is gonna be specific URL excluding add to cart. So people, if you have multiple products, you can go ahead and just do it for a specific product on your store. You'll put in that URL and then exclude people that have added to cart, again with that URL. So it's just for a specific product. And even if it is a one product store, I would still do this ad set and see if there's any differences, because you're keeping it specific to just this only one single product. So that is the general idea of retargeting. Obviously it gets a lot more depth, and this little spider web thing here could expand to tons and tons and tons of more bubbles, and we can get into that most definitely. But hopefully this gives you a good idea on where to start with retargeting, and you can get this stuff set up, start making money, so you can start seeing some good results and eventually scale your retargeting, you know, to how it is on this ad account that I've been working on, where it's spent under 10 grand and brought in over 110, which is a pretty crazy amount, I can't lie. You know, those aren't always super typical with retargeting, but I would say, you know, if you have an average 2 to 3 ROAS in your normal ads, you're gonna see, you know, 4 to 5 with retargeting, you know, if you're doing it proper. But if you follow everything I mentioned in this video, I promise, you know, if you're getting traffic, you're gonna be able to see some results from this and be happy from it, and, you know, be able to, you know, retarget these customers and make some money. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and you learned something from it. And if you did enjoy it, make sure to leave a big like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.